once again. I think this is our fourth edition for the year 2021 so far. Today we have a guest speaker. He's an ex-cadet. He's by the name Danladi Caleb, and he will be talking about the role of seaports in the economic development of Nigeria, and then also looking at the challenges and the prospects for seaports in Nigeria and how they affect economic development. Danladi went to Man Oron. Can't remember the years, but I think he left around 2004-ish or 2003. Maybe you correct me. And then afterwards, he joined. I think there was this training for us in Malaysia. They had to go to this Malaysian fleet. So Danladi was one of them. After his seagoing experience in the Malaysian fleet, he joined NLNG as a deck cadet, and he trained in Southampton for his cadetship, sailed on board LNG vessels, and rose to the rank of chief officer as a then on board, and then he was moved back ashore as a superintendent. He held the role of a superintendent, DPA, and I think he went back and he captained a vessel as well. And from there, Danladi moved on to Chevron, and that's where he is currently. Academically also, Danladi had, while working, put in some effort into the academic side. He had a BSc in Maritime Studies and an MSc in HSE, and he's currently studying for a PhD with the University of Plymouth. What he's presenting to us is an extract of his work so far in his PhD studies. Welcome to Amano Teaching Group. We meet here twice every month, and we discuss us and external parties to come and hold this lecture session. I'm sure that it has been very beneficial to most of our members, and that's why you see invitation people turn up for it. So Danladi,
good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And thank you very much for having me. Without going through the introduction, Kuni has said it all. So at the moment, I'm a PhD researcher with Plymouth University, and I'm researching on productivity and efficiency of container ports in Nigeria, comparing it with other lower middle income countries. So today we are going to look at the role of seaports to the economic development of Nigeria. As you are aware, ports constitute an important economic activity in coastal area. And Nigeria being a coastal state, though it has a lot of landlocked state, so port is a very, 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 very important aspect when it comes to economic development of Nigeria. So without wasting our time, we'll go through the learning outcomes. So at the end of this section, we should be able to understand the need for seaports. We should be able to identify different types of ports, different types of port administrative model, and the economic impact of ports. I'll also quickly talk about port efficiency and also the factors that affect the efficiency and productivity of ports. And we're going to make reference to Nigeria. So generally, someone might meet you on the way and say, okay, what is ports? So different stakeholders, different people have a different definition of a port. So to mariners, a port is a safe place for loading and unloading of cargo. Sorry, if you have any question, you can stop me as we go along the way, please. So to shippers or passenger, they see port as an interface between land and water transportation. So to national economics, that is those people who are not seafarers or who are not shippers. They see port as a gateway to nation's economy. And generally, it's a gateway to all benefits of international trade. So a port is being viewed by different stakeholders as having a form of different varieties of activities. So one stakeholder might look at ports in one way, the other stakeholders might look at port another way. But at the end of it, we can say ports is one of the gateway to nation's economy. And generally what we do is without ports, let's say the major imports and export of a country will not be possible. For instance, today, more than 90% of Nigerian trade is being carried by international shipping. And without the help of port, we cannot be able to carry out these activities. And recently, if you notice, ports have become more important than it used to be previously be. Previously, ports were seen just as a transit station where you move cargo, you move in things from one point to the other. But today, port is being seen as a different aspect entirely. For instance, now, with the aid of a port, you can be able to have a more sort of industrial areas in an area. And then ports today generate more revenue than it used to be before, which tend to contribute to nations' economy. So basically, we are going to go through the overview of Nigerian ports. So Nigerian ports have four major ports. So we have the Lagos Port Complex and the Tinkan. They are part of the Western ports. And we also have the Eastern ports, which is Calabar Port, Rivers, One Port, and Warri Port in Delta State. So all these ports, we have a total of 6, and they have about 26 terminals. Prior to 2004, the Nigerian port system were considered as one of the most inefficient ports in the world. We have the high rate of cargo theft. We have the dwell times of cargo tend to be running to months, the congestion, theft, multiple government agencies, just to mention a few of them. So in 2004, the Nigerian government embarked on a port administrative reform. What they do in that period of time is to be able to bring in private investors to see how they can salvage the situation. So bringing it makes Nigerian ports then to operate what we call the landlord administrative port system, where the government oversees the regulatory aspect and the private terminal operators oversee the cargo operations. So that has actually resulted in improved efficiency statistically, but is that improved efficiency sustainable till today? Well, we'll say the answer is no. From that 2004 until date, Nigerian port has actually recorded a high rate of cargo congestion. The dwell time of cargo in Nigerian ports tend to be in the region of 14 days as against the 48 hours international standard. So when you look at it, a lot needs to be done in a Nigerian port. So the next part is just a map showing all you different ports location. So you have Tinkan and Apapa port. So basically Tinkan and Apapa port about 70% of cargo coming into Nigeria goes through Apapa port. So you can see one of Apapa port and Tinkan is because the other ports are not being utilized. There's underutilization of the eastern ports, which cause a lot of traffic congestion to Tinkan port and Apapa port. So just the next step is just a pictorial diagram of different types of container ports. These are container ports just taken. This is a bulk port. So the next one is an LNG port or oil port. And we have passenger ports. So basically we have different types of ports. We have a dedicated container port like container terminal, i.e. in Nigeria, we have APM Mola terminal, which is dedicated for strictly containers. Then we have a bulk port, which handle a general purpose, multi-purpose cargo, and sometimes they handle containers. And for instance, we have a Papa Bulk Company, Greenview. Those ports handle multi-purpose cargo. We have oil ports. So in Nigeria, I think the highest number of ports that we have is basically the oil ports. We have different oil terminals, Bonny oil terminals, Escravos oil terminals. These ports handles liquids in bulk. So we have the ferry ports. Even though they are being underutilized in Nigeria, we don't use ferry, but basically we use more of the small boats now to move. They use ferry once in a while, not really a passenger boat, but still a port because it serves as an interface between land and sea. So my apologies, please. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Okay. Because I'm having a bit of challenges here sharing my screen again.
We can still see your screen.
You can see, okay, it has lost from my end here. So
I think what you could do is stop.
All right.
Okay, are you okay now?
Yeah, I'm okay now. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So generally, what do we need about to know about different types of ports? So there are several reasons why we need to know about different types of ports. So one of the reasons is to be able to analyze the industry. So you need to understand the operations of ports to be able to analyze the industry. So without you understanding the operation of ports, you can't be able to analyze port as a gateway to nation's economy. So for instance, if we say port is a gateway to nation economy, you need to understand what types of ports are, what does ports do, what kind of inputs does ports translate into outputs, what equipment is a kind of container port having that a bulk port doesn't have. So it's very, very important for us to know different types of ports because that helps us to analyze the industry. So another reason is you could argue that the operation between ports are extremely different. For instance, now, if you go to APM terminal, the operation is different from Apapa Bulk Company. So it's very important for us to know different types of port because different types of port have different operations, have different cargo handling capacities, have different cargo equipment. And again, the throughput is different. For a container port, you have is measured in TEU. For a bulk port, you have the cargo throughput measured in tons. So it's different. Also, we need to understand how ports, to know about different ports because different shipping companies manage different ports and sometimes they specialize on certain ports. For instance, APM Mola in Nigeria is specialized in container. Apapa Bulk Company is specialized in container. So these companies comes up as a result of the reforms that have taken place in Nigerian port system where the certain terminal were concessions for a period of 20 years, 25 years to different terminal operators. So it's very, very important that we know about different ports because different ports handle different aspects of operations. They have different types of equipment. And also to somebody who is a layman who is trying to import maybe a container, he should be able to know that when he's importing, he's going to go to a container port, not a bulk port. When, for instance, now there is an oil port in Bonny and you are thinking of exporting your containers through there, it's absolutely impossible. So it's very, very important that we know about different types of ports. So now, different shipping companies own ports. So how do these companies own ports globally? So there are different ways in which a shipping company can own a port. It can be through concession. For instance, what happened in Nigeria between 2004 and 2006, there was a concession of different terminals due to inefficiency. And then you tend to lease a concession that terminal for a period of 20 years, 25 years to different operators. So a shipping company also can also own a port through leasing. For instance, you can lease a particular terminal like what BUA are doing for a specific period of years. So that's how you can own a port. MOU with government is also another way that you can own a port. You can sign a memorandum of understanding. Example like the LNG terminal, there is a public-private enterprise, so they have an MOU with the government to form that. So you can also go on a public-private partnership, which is much common in the world today. So you see a lot of ports like the port of Mombasa. So they have a public-private partnership. Part of it is owned by the public and part of it is owned by the private sector, which the private sector control the highest share. So by owning a port, generally, the shipping company becomes a terminal operator. So you don't call it a shipping company at that particular period of time. It's been called a terminal operator. So for instance, in Nigeria, we have different terminals. So we have Apapa bulk terminals, we have Lilipong, we have Joseph Dam, we have different terminals operators at that point of time. And having different terminal operators in the port tend to create intra-port competition. Once it creates intra-port competition, what it does, like if you have different people, different operators competing for cargo, what it does is they tend to crash the freight rate. So that's one of the advantage of competition, and they tend to create a form of efficiency in the port system because everyone will try to invest in certain aspect of cargo equipment that their counterpart doesn't have. Thereafter, it improves efficiency in the system. So also in ports, we have different types of port management model, or some we say port administrative model. These are models in which the port is owned. So we have different types of ownership in port. Some ports are owned by government, 100% by government. The Port Authority maintain the infrastructure, the superstructure, and they oversee the regulatory aspect of the port. So such type of ports are called service ports. And there are still some countries today that still run a service port system. So, but these ports, service ports, still have their own advantages and disadvantages. But we'll dwell more on the disadvantage. One of the disadvantages of a service port system is for decision to be taken, you need the government permission. That was a system that was in practice prior concession in Nigeria. You need the decision of the president through the Minister of Transport. You have to wait for budgets to be able to invest on some infrastructural deficit. So, and then there's a kind of attitude that if government doesn't provide, those equipment will remain in the dilapidated state. So that's one of the major disadvantage of service port. And a lot of countries tend to move away from the service port system today to the other different type of port administrative model. So the other one we have is called a tool port. The tool port is generally when a port authority owns the infrastructure, the superstructure, they own all the cranes, they own the warehousing, but the stevedore and all the terminal workers are not under the port authority. They are being served, they are being brought in by private investors. So in this type of port system, the level of efficiency tend to be slightly much better, but you can still compare it with a port that is fully run by a private individual. In the case of this, the dock workers cannot go for strike, which is very, very important, because once they go for strike, they are going to impact a lot of operations. So tool port system, we will say, is a give and take. It's not the best option, but it's still better than the service port. So the other type is the landlord port administration system, which is a system that is being practiced today in Nigeria. So basically is the infrastructure is owned by the port authority, and the superstructure, which is the cargo handling equipment, warehousing, are being run by private firms. And the private firm also provides steep rent for cargo operations. So this system tends to be a bit efficient, but there's an issue of corporate governance when it comes to this system, that the head of port authority is being appointed by the government rather than different terminal operators coming together to appoint the head of port authority. Decision taking in landlord port administrative system tends to be faster. The reason being, private operators, if they want to invest in, let's say, certain number of gantry cranes, certain number of forklift, they don't necessarily need the permission of the president or the government or minister of transport to take such decision. It's a decision that is taken solely in-house. So the decision making is okay, and they also have a regulatory body that oversees the ports, which is the government. So the regulatory body is completely different from the operating body, which makes it more flexible. And this type of port is being practiced in most places in the world. Nigeria practice it, Ghana practice it, Togo are practicing it, and a lot more in South America. A lot of South American countries are practicing the landlord port administrative system. So the last type of port management is private sector port. That means the port is being controlled and managed by private sector. For instance, in the UK and in New Zealand, the port is fully privatized, is owned by Association of British Ports. So they control, they manage the port, is managed by private sector. So this port is good when it comes to decision making because you take decision on your own. But one of the major drawbacks is because private sector tends to invest a lot of resources in this type of port. So sometimes they tend to get their payback period in a short period of time. Thereby, some of the charges tend to be slightly higher. And sometimes there's sort of, if there is no competition, there's a sort of monopoly in the system. So private service port is also a good type of port administrative model, but they also have their advantages and disadvantages. So as we are all aware, ports plays a vital role to a nation's economy. In countries like Singapore, ports generally contribute about 7% to their GDP. So which is really good. In the UK, for instance, ports contribute about 7.6 billion pounds per year. So you can see the economic importance of ports to a country cannot be underestimated. So in Nigeria, now let's come back to Nigerian context. So ports generally in Nigeria, they tend to lead to economic growth. So for instance now, if a port is being situated, let's say in Akwa Ibom, there's tend to be a number of people that are going to migrate there in searching for jobs. A lot of industries are going to build their plants there. The reason being that it's going to facilitate export and imports of raw materials. So, and then it's going to contribute to the revenue generation of that particular area in Akwa Ibom State. And very important is it's going to create job opportunities that will tend to alleviate poverty in that particular locality. So you can see the economic importance of ports cannot be underestimated. Let's take, for example, during the recent COVID-19 lockdown, almost every sector in Nigeria economy was shut down, only essential workers, but port operations was still going on to ensure that there is no gap in global supply chain. Essential items are being moved in and out. So without ports, that would be impossible. So you can see how ports are very important to the economic development of Nigeria. Now, ports also contribute to the GDP of Nigeria. And apart from that, the revenue that ports generate is quite huge, that it also contributes to economic growth. So the role of ports cannot be underestimated. And without port, most importantly, the cost of import and export will be high. As you are all aware, transporting goods by sea is the most cost effective means of transportation. So ports facilitate those movement, and you can't just underestimate it. If you are trying to ship a cargo today via aircraft and through ships, so you should know that there's a huge difference. And most of the heavy equipment cannot be transported through aircraft, but they can be transported through sea. So ports is being seen as the gateway to nation's economy. One of the key role of port is it promotes tourism. So in Nigeria, that has not been taken, we have not actually maximized our potential, but in other countries today, the cruise ship contribute a lot to their economy because a lot of people come into the country for tourism through cruise ship, and the gateway is port. So you can see ports also promote tourism. So another very, very important aspect of port is that it facilitates trade between international countries. So without ports, the trade between maybe Nigeria and Europe is not like it won't be possible, but there are some limitations because there are some things that cannot be transported by air transport, but they can be transported by land. So those are the economic importance of port. So now we are going to focus on Nigerian port system. So from the period of port concession to the period of port concession and post-port concessions. So there has been argument among scholars, researchers, and stakeholders. Some of them argue that, okay, the reforms of 2004 has actually improved efficiency of Nigerian ports, while some of them are in contrast to that. Some of them are saying, no, the reforms of 2004 has not actually improved the efficiency. So we are going to go through certain indicators. So from these indicators, we can be able to draw a conclusion whether the reforms have actually improved efficiency or we still have a long way to go. So as you are aware, we have over a population of 185 to 200 million people. So in 2020, Nigeria is being ranked as 145th out of 190 for ease of doing business, according to World Bank. So if you look at this statistic, the ranking is low. We have a sort of poor ranking. And then if you look at the indicators that are being used for ease of doing business in Nigeria, we still have a lot of documentation procedure. We still have a long way to go. We still have multiple agencies in ports. We don't have a single window system where everything will be incorporated in one place. We have to move from one office to the other. In the process, there is some people asking for gratification, so which makes it quite difficult. Again, the statistic that was released by the same World Bank about the ease of trading across border, which ports happen to fall into, Nigerian ports are ranked at 183 out of 190, which is very, very, very poor ranking. And as we are all aware, is the hassle it takes for custom clearance in Nigeria. About in 2019 or 18, they introduced this physical inspection of cargo, where a cargo has to come with pallets, palletization of cargo. So that has actually caused a lot of hassle for inspection, which makes a lot of cargo to stay overnight, stay for days and weeks, whereas the shipper will be paying demurrage. So when you look at the custom, we don't have scanners that will be able to scan cargoes as against what is being practiced in another country. For example, in 2019, the Movers DB group is an overseas cargo and freight cost indicator. So they carry out an analysis, and they find out that the cost of shipping a 20 and 40 feet container from New York to Nigeria is the most expensive in the world of all the 47 destinations that they have. So it's not expensive as a result of distance, because if you look at a quick Google search for distance between New York and Lagos, is roughly, let's say, about 8,000 to 9,000 miles. Just so if you look at also the distance from New York to South Africa, is more than 13,000 miles, because you are going to Southern Hemisphere. So, and if the cost of transporting containers to Nigeria is the most expensive in the world, then something is wrong, actually. So it has to do with our documentation. It has to do with our level of inefficiency. It has to do with the congestion in ports. It has to do with multiple government agencies that slow down cargo operation, as the cargo dwell time tend to contribute to the freight rate. So sometimes when you pay demurrage, the freight rate will tend to go high. So it's a serious issue in Nigeria. So when you look at Nigeria now, Nigeria is just recovering from the 2016 recession, according to the Bureau of Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. And then in 2020, Nigeria was up again into this COVID-19 pandemic. As you are all aware, the pandemic has slowed down a lot of economic activities in the world. Let's take, for instance, in the oil industry, a lot of ships were used as storage. So they were used as storage. So there's a lot of slowing down in economic activity, particularly globally and also in Nigeria. So we have to look at some of the factors, that affect the economic growth of Nigeria. We have to talk about the natural resources in Nigeria. So when you have abundant natural resources, you tend to export it out through the port system. So for instance, now Nigeria has always been an import-oriented country, but according to the statistic that was released recently, companies like Olam tend to export more cargoes now, even though we have high number of empty containers going out than coming in. So we talk about the physical capital, and you are all aware Nigeria is among the lower middle income countries. So based on capital per income, we won't particularly say, but the discrepancy between the high and lower class is quite high. Population of a country tend to affect the economic growth. If you have more population, the demand for raw material will be high. So which in turn boils down the pressure in ports, because if you are demanding for more raw material, they are going to ship through port. So it's quite, you can see how population can actually impact port operations. So when you have a particular port servicing maybe a large number of hinterland, so the demand for cargo through that port tend to be high. As a result, the revenue generation is also high. So we talk about technology. So technology has also gone a long way in economic growth when it comes to port. Let me make reference to countries like Rotterdam today. Rotterdam tend to address their port efficiency first by allocating certain beds to certain types of ships and certain cargo equipment for certain cargos. So for instance, now, if you have a large number of ships coming into Rotterdam, you have a bed that has been allocated for the large ship, and you have a large number of ship shore gantry cranes that will be able to offload that cargo within a short period of time. So it's really a good way that Rotterdam has done. Singapore has also moved like that. They have done a form of a smart way of particularly addressing port efficiency. So if you go to Singapore today, most of the trucks, they don't have drivers, they are driverless trucks, so it's a full, completely smart port. From cargo documentation, cargo clearance, you don't have any interface with people. So that lack of interface tend to improve efficiency of port system. So in Nigeria today, we are going to look at the challenges of port operations. What are the challenges? We tend to look at insecurity today. Insecurity, if you look at the maritime security reports, you know, about Gulf of Guinea, Nigerian security threat is on the rise every day. It's on the rise every day. For instance, now is you have to pay a certain amount of money to go to safe anchorage. So that cost is going to increase the freight rate of any particular cargo. So when you look at also, ships have to be able to fit in this anti-piracy device. Some of them will have to take security guards on board. Some of them have to stay offshore 150 miles to wait for a security boat. And all these costs, you know, are on the owner, and that would in turn affect the shipper as well. So security is a very serious concern to Nigerian port system. Also cargo theft, you know, is another issue. So our documentation processes, we have a very, very, very large number of documentation processes. In Nigerian ports, we have about 14 agencies as against the 8, that's the global standard. So when you have these multiple government agencies, it's a serious issue, because you have to go from one person to the other, and the time it takes, you know, is going to affect the cargo dwell time in port. So it's a very, very serious issue. Another thing is inconsistency in government policy. Today, the government will come out with a policy of new palletization, like what I've discussed in the earlier days. In 2007, the vice president, when he was acting president, came out with an executive order, you know, for ports to operate within 24 hours, and then some certain agencies are going to leave the port. But after some time, those agencies again are back to port. So it's a very, very serious challenge, and it's a serious situation that causes inefficiency in the system. Another major issue here is the absence of national trade data. So we don't have a database. We don't have a single database for national trade. And that is also a serious challenge for Seaport. So there was a discussion that was ongoing between MP and other stakeholders about implementing a single window platform where every payment will be via a single window, but that has not been implemented. And because of the delay in implementing the single window platform, you have to go from one agency to the other. You have to take 33 signatures, and some of these people will still require gratification. So it's a very, very serious issue. So we talk about lack of intermodalism. So of recent, I heard that there's a train service that's moving from APM terminal out of the port. Well, that's a good news, but I think we need a proper functioning rail system, you know, that will complement the road. The roads are in poor state, they are in dilapidated state. So if you go to Port of Los Angeles today, they move approximately 3,000 containers in a span of 12 hours by rail. So that is also possible if we develop our rail system, an efficient rail system. That would also help, you know, to combat the issue of congestion and inefficiency in the system. So another issue again, another challenge is when you talk of cargo congestion is 100% physical examination. So we don't have scanners today. So without scanners, you have to physically inspect the cargo. So a country like Singapore that have scanners, they can be able to scan 40, 50 containers within the span of 30 minutes. But because of lack of these scanners and certain equipment, you have to physically open a container, inspect it. That will take hours. So for you to inspect 10, 20 containers, you are talking about days, whereas advanced countries are talking about minutes and hours. So it's a very, very serious situation in Nigeria. Another thing, again, we have to look at is the inadequate infrastructure. That is poor access to to poor road access, and then some equipment are in a state of dilapidated state. So for instance, now, if you look at the World Economic Forum in 2019, there's an indicator where they rank the quality of port infrastructure. It's on a scale of 1 to 7. And Nigeria is being ranked as 2.8 as against 7. So that is to show you that the state of infrastructure in Nigeria is dilapidated. We need to do more to address the issue of infrastructure. And also, when you look at our own Nigeria ranking in Global Logistic Performance Indicator, we are being ranked as 110 out of 160. And all this has to bounce back to the way we clear our cargoes, the time spent in custom, the waiting hours of trucks, and the rest of them. So today, the average clearance for TUs in Nigeria is about 14 days as against the global standard of 48 hours. So it's a serious thing. And recently, the Transparency International, they released their report, and then we still have a form of poor ranking. We are ranked as 146 out of the 183 country. So it's still bounce back to issue of gratification, multiple agency, people seeking for favor and things like that. So we have to figure out a way out, even though the initial drive to improve efficiency with the introduction of 2004-2005 reform system, which has actually improved some certain aspect of efficiency, but a lot needs to be done. So now we have to look at why is it important for us to increase port efficiency before we can be able to tackle the challenges of seaport. So if you look at it today, port efficiency is a major problem that's hindering Nigerian maritime sector growth, because you can't have a sector that will grow where there's a high rate of inefficiency in the system. If we have an efficient port, the transportation costs will reduce, and it's going to facilitate imports and export. So I think the need to address port efficiency should be a top priority, which I believe the government are on it. So the other aspect is port efficiency will make Nigeria competitive in international market. So if you read the recent ranking of Nigeria in the global competitiveness, Nigeria is being ranked as 116. So, but if we have a sort of better port system that is efficient, I think we are going to score a very low score and in the global competitive index. So generally, we also have to ensure that to tackle Nigerian port efficiency is not only the government that have the role to play, but it also have to do with different stakeholders in the industry that have to come together. For example, now, to tackle the issue of challenges in seaport, you have to adopt reforms. Nigerian port system has adopted a port reform system, and this port reform system has leads to efficiency. So there's also a need for you to review reforms. Some countries undertake reforms more than 3 times. For instance, in Spain, there's a reform of 1997, there's a reform of 2003, there's a reform of 2007, 2010. They have over 4 reforms within a span period of time. So we need to review those concessions, and if there's need for us to, adopt another reform, that's good. For instance, on the issue of labor reform, that a lot of dock workers used to go on strike is a thing of the past. So I think there need to be a lot of review to ensure that we are on track. So another thing is about technology and innovation. We have to invest more in technology. We have to invest on scanners. We have to invest in single window system that is going to facilitate. And the good news is, like I had just 2 weeks ago, the Nigerian Port Authority have launched an electronic truck call-up system, for managing of truck, for movement of truck in and out of port. I think that system is what commendable. It's something that can be able to reduce the congestion in the Apapa and Tinkan roads. So another issue is deepening of our channels. You know, for you to have bigger ships calling into your port, the channel needs to be dredged to a certain level. You know, you can't be able to have a ship that have to wait for high tide, and once they miss the high tide till tomorrow, is going to cause them a lot of delay. So I think deepening of our channels, dredging of our channels is going to accommodate more ships. And you know, when you have a big ship bringing a large cargo, there's a form of economic of scale. So it's very, very important. And private sector investment is another aspect to tackle this seaport inefficiency. Private sector need to invest more in equipment. They need to invest more in training their staff. They need to invest more in cargo handling facility. Their equipment must not be equipment that is going to break down. If you look at the UNCTAD, one of the UNCTAD indicator is a working rate of a crane. So you can't afford to have a crane that is 20 years old, that when it works for 2 hours, is going to break down. You have to bring technician to work. You have to move on to a better technology that you are sure that the crane is going to work continuously for a period of 24 hours. So it's another aspect that have to be looked into. And very important, we need to consider reducing the number of government agencies in ports. For example, people like Standard Organization of Nigeria, do we need them in ports? I don't think so. If you go to other ports, you don't see them. NDLEA, SSS, we don't need all those people in ports. You know, it's only essential one. Globally, most countries have 8, and if you go to other ports, the officials rarely come apart from immigration and custom. So, but it's something that Nigeria is worth to look into to reduce the number of agencies in port, you know. So if you look at, because of all these inefficiencies today, you know, there's another research analysis that revealed that the cost of shipping a container, you know, from Apapa port into Apapa port is about 5 times more than the cost of shipping container within Durban, and in Ghana is 3 times. So you look at the cost, everything all bounce back to cost, and people are losing money as a result of inefficiency in the system. So it's a very serious thing that we need to look into in order to address this issue. So today in Nigerian port system, we're going to look at, apart from these issues, these challenges, the rate of inefficiency, we still have opportunities to develop our sectors. So we have different opportunities in the dry bulk shipping, in the tanker shipping, in the offshore supply industry, because Nigeria is more of an oil producing dependent country. So shipyards, rather than building our ships, and the good news is a couple of ships have been built now in Nigeria. For instance, one of the FPSO for Total was completed in Ladol, which is a good news. So there's also opportunity to invest in maritime search and rescue, pollution control. If you go to different countries, there's also opportunities. So when you look at the economic opportunity to invest in Nigerian port system is huge. Some can also invest on providing scanners, where they can be, you can rent scanners. Some can also invest in providing cranes. So when you look at it, a lot need to be done in order for us to be able to grab the hand of these opportunities. So there's a future. The Nigerian sector still holds a bright future for us. For instance, now the Lekki Deep Sea Port will soon come into play. And with Lekki Deep Sea Port coming on ground now, the issue of congestion will be a theme of the past. So it's very, very important that we look at that for our future. The other one is about digitalization. So the world has moved digital. You know, clearing a ship manually in Singapore, they don't do that. The port of Tanjung Pelepas tend to be one of the most efficient ports in the world today, and the port of Shanghai. because all their clearance is being done electronically. Even what we have in Nigeria, the pre-arrival information system, it still takes time to transmit. So we have to embrace the issue of digitalization. So the next one, you have to look at automation. We have to start to plan towards smart ports in Nigeria. So you have to have a kind of cranes that are driverless. You have to have restockers that are driverless. So with that one, you are going to improve the efficiency of the port. One is you are saving money in terms of human labor. And number two, your equipment are being handled in a safe and efficient manner. So it's different countries have adopted that model. Example, Singapore have adopted that model and it's working well for them. So the other idea for the future is about cleaner energy. This carbonization of 2050, everybody is moving towards that direction. So we still need to invest in that. So technology and innovation is something that everybody is moving into now. I'm happy that the electronic truck call-off has just been launched, which is one of the innovation for managing the movement of trucks in and out of port. So if you look at, there's a survey that was carried out by SAP Global Performance Benchmarking. According to them, those ports that have adopted technological innovation have 36% operating margins than their peers. So you can imagine with the level of operation we are now, if we adopt this technological innovation, we are going to be 36% higher. You can imagine the throughput will be producing, because sometimes throughput actually, you measure the performance of ports through throughput, but sometimes the service quality also goes a long way than throughput. But since throughput is a reference indicator, that is what everyone takes. So with this form of technological innovation, we are going to have a higher level of efficiency compared with our peers. Different countries have adopted it, and I think we still have the potential to do that. Okay, now we look at, in terms of port efficiency, apart from what we have mentioned, we have to move away from the Nigerian. There are different factors also that affect port efficiency. Sometimes when you look at the government decision, different sort of policies, it goes a long way in affecting the productivity and efficiency of ports when the policies are not consistent. And another thing is there are high charges that are associated with clearance. A lot of cargoes are being diverted from Lagos to neighboring countries like Cotonou, Cameroon. That in turn is reducing our revenue. So, but all said is there's great future for Nigerian ports. And I think Nigerian ports have done a lot, because in the last 4 years, they have generated about 1.023 trillion naira, so which is good. And when you look at even though the contribution to GDP is low, it's about 1.6%, but still, there's still a future that we can be able to maximize our potentials. So thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question.
Okay, I think without wasting time, I know we wasted a lot of time in the beginning. So thank you very much, Kale, for this presentation. It's very useful, and for me, in fact, for me, I've learned a lot. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, there's a question here from Akan.
Okay.
Akan,
yeah. So we're going to go into the time of question and answers. So if you have any question, there are 2 ways, 3 ways that you can do it, and you can either put it on the chat window and we'll capture that, or you can, if your video is on, you can just wave your hand. We'll be able to capture you to take your question, to ask your question, or you can raise your hand. Use the the button on your screen to raise your hands, and then we will see it. So this is a Q&A question, and thank you very much, Caleb, for that great presentation. It's really, really good, and in fact, it's excellent. And personally myself, I've learned a lot. I've really captured some. In fact, I was taking note of some vital things that you were saying, put in your presentation. So I believe everyone here has picked one or two things, and that will help in his or her career. And so, like I said, this Q&A, so if you have any question, just ask. We have one question here from Akane Yang. So he said, can you expand on the investment opportunity that exists in pollution control? What are the limitations and possible ROI? So, Caleb, over to you.
Okay, there are a lot of investment opportunities that exist in the pollution control aspect, particularly in Nigerian ports. So late last year, there was a tender that was issued by NPA on, as you're aware, there's a new ballast water management requirement that came into force, in 2018. So with that one is some ports are required to have what we call ballast water reception tanks. So it's an opportunity for investors to invest in providing these ballast water receptive tanks in port, whereas a ship that doesn't have a ballast water management plan can be able to discharge their ballast into it. Secondly, again, smart ports today are investing in incinerators in ports. So as you are aware, there's also a revision in the MAPOL, whereas nothing goes into the sea apart from food. So some vessels have a long voyage, and some ports doesn't have that reception facilities for waste disposal, the sort of waste from the ship. So that's another opportunity to invest in terms of building a proper heavy-duty incinerator in port, whereby ships will be paid, for that particular services. And then, for example, there are projects, you can acquire a vessels, for greenhouse emission, but that one has not really been taken into account. It's something that have to be looked like. You can also get an equipment that you can use it, to acquire all those waste disposal in ports and things. So it's an opportunity for investment. And when you look at it, NPA tends to advertise their tenders every time, So what NPA tends to advertise their tender all the time. So from that one, you can be able to see what other opportunities that does exist. But most of the opportunities I'm talking about, most of the advanced countries. Advanced countries, like if you go to Spain today, a lot of waste reception facilities is being managed by private individuals, private companies, and not the port authority. So if you go to some ports, some gas ports today, is when they don't allow you to flare, there are companies that take over the vapor return. Instead of you to send it flared up, or they don't take vapor return, there are some companies that are dedicated for that. So those are opportunities for investment. So the other question here is, say from your study stores so far, what model of port operation work best in Nigeria? Well, that is a bit of a give and take question. The model that works best in Nigeria. Well, Nigeria is quite a complex country. And for me, in my own perspective, and based on some research that I've been carrying, I think landlord port administrative model system is the best system, whereas the operators take charge of operation aspect of the ship, and then the government oversee the regulatory aspect. It's very important because if an operator is doing something wrong, the government can pinpoint him, that this is not going right, this is not going right, this is not going right. But if you are running a fully privatized port, it's just you determine the price, you determine the cost of freight, you determine everything. So I think the landlord model is better because private investors have invested in port, and then once they have invested in the port, they'll ensure that the facilities will be looked after. It's something that they have invested money, they might have collected loan to invest in that particular scenario. So it's something that they were doing by taking care of their facilities. Well, for the fully private system, it's also a good system, but like I said, there's nobody that oversees the regulatory aspect. It has worked well in other countries, but for Nigeria, I think landlord is the best administrative model. If we go back to the service port system, the issue of all these strike by dock workers today, dock workers will demand for increase in wage, is going to impact. The ship will be there and nobody to work. If a crane breaks down, you need to fix the crane. You need permission from the MDO, from the Minister of Transport. So that will also improve inefficiency in the system. So in my own opinion, I think landlord port administrative system is the best and is a widely adopted port administrative model globally.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. So we have Joel Bagai hands up, and then we have, after that, we go to Captain Moran. Joel Bagai.
Hello, I can't hear you.
We are struggling to hear you, Bagai.
Okay.
Yes, we
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I said well done for the presentation. I just want to make some few comments regarding your presentation, probably just for knowledge sake in some areas. The safe anchorage security area you did mention, based on recent information, that has been scrapped. So the safe anchorage security area does no longer exist. And ship owners are not guaranteed of their ship security at the anchorage area. So what ship owners are doing, for instance, probably they wait around Lome, waiting for berthing of their vessels into the Nigerian seaport, especially in Lagos. That's for the safe anchorage issue. And then I also want to make comment on the recent call-up system introduced by the Nigerian Port Authority. Actually, it's a well commended initiative, but my concern with that e-call-up system is just like any approach in Nigerian policy. They don't give enough chance for industry players to prepare. As far as I can remember, this issue was announced in January, and then by 27th of February, it went into full implementation. I would like to tell you that today, shipping lines that are operating containers, they are suffering at the moment. Reason being that most of the system is not yet working for the shipping line to be able to do call off for their containers, especially empties. And even before now, a lot of thousands of containers are stuck in Nigeria.
Bagai, we've lost you. Okay, just to save our time, let's go to the next question. Captain Moran, please, the floor is yours. Captain Moran, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, a very good afternoon to all. Great lecture, although I joined halfway in. But I just want to put a comment to the first question that was raised in terms of this investment, as was highlighted by the facilitator. What they mentioned there, we also need to look at our own society. Yes, in other societies, those will be called investment opportunities, but in our intensive. And then too, like we know, even the issue of collection of waste from the company already. It's not a place you can just wake up and say, okay, you want to go and build a reception facility. It's absolutely, I think, something that you need the whole connections in the whole world to get it done. So yes, it may look as an investment opportunity, but if it is not being opened, you can't get it done. So it's the administrative bottlenecks are just too much, because like I said, first, it's MPA and the other agencies involved. Are they ready to open up to anybody coming up to build a reception facility? It's a top deal. The contract has been given already, awarded already. So that's one side of it. And then the other bit on the issue of several agencies at the port. Yes, it's a major problem we have. But sometimes you look at the peculiarity of your situation and say, hey, what's the best way? How can we manage this? The king of Saudi Arabia once told America, I said, look, your democracy may work in America, but may not work in Saudi and other countries. But what other countries need to do is to readapt it, regig it to suit what they have on ground. Imagine the issues we have in ports today. And then think of the agencies just staying there and say, okay, we're not going to be there. Let people just do it. People are not responsible enough to act as they should be. I mean, what I'm trying to say is we don't really have responsible organization and responsible individuals. Now, sometimes you actually need a whip to actually get them to comply. Yes, the agencies can actually work on probably a better way, as in if they are more transparent, things could work. But in terms of presence, you actually, if you are in our port, you realize that you need that footprint. But of course, that footprint should not translate to delaying, to increasing the loop, the clearing time and other time of goods in the port. But they need to be more efficient. But in terms, what I'm trying to say is, in terms of presence, well, based on what we have on ground, I think you need to have those people around, kind of, but they need to work much more efficiently. That's just my comment. Or those are just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think I haven't seen any other hands for questions. So with that, we end the session for Q&A. So Kuni, over to you.
Okay, good morning once again, and thank you for joining in once again. Thank you for sitting in, and thank you to Danladi for very wonderful presentation, and thank you to our audience for listening in. Today is a very special one. We kept this a secret. We didn't let everybody know, but if you're here, you made it here, and we have special guests amongst us. We want to introduce the executives of the Nigerian branch of Chartered Institute of Shipbrokers. Basically, the commercial aspect of shipping starts and ends with the institute. So I will let the chairman of the Nigerian Branch Institute introduce himself and the institute, and some of their members are here. We have Captain Larry. Captain Larry, over to you, and welcome to you and your members.
Yeah, good morning all. Oh, it's good day, actually. It's good day.
Good day,
Just
sir.
before we start, yeah, the current chairman is going to be the one to close this chapter. I happen to be the first chairman of the chapter in Nigeria, and I've handed over the baton to Nibu and Tami Adu. He's going to round up when we finish. So actually, we've been hearing about the ICS, which we don't want to be calling ICS because there are so many ICS on the platform now. This is of Charter Ship Brokers, that's our own body. And it's a professional body and the professional body actually for commercial shipping globally. The body has been there for quite a while, and they are there to represent the interests of everybody involved in commercial shipping. Be it the agent, be it the shipbroker himself, or somebody is managing vessels for others. Once you are there in commercial shipping, they take care of your interest. The head office of this body is in London, where it all started. But how was it founded is very, very key. You know, London has been the center for shipping for centuries, even before our grandparents were born. And they had a lot of brokers, just like we have the people who are doing all sort of crazy things around us today. They have a lot of brokers who are not controlled and not controllable for centuries. So it was 5 companies, the 5 leading shipping companies that came together, say, we need to have a body to control us. And that's how the body was eventually founded in 1911. So we have celebrated the centenary. I think the centenary was 2011. We marked that date. The ICS was founded in 1911, and 2 years down the line, they had to really register the body as a profit-making organization. And the certificate of incorporation was in 1913, given by Board of Trade of that time. They carried on 7 years later. They needed more control, and they now decided to have what we call the Royal Charter. For some of us who know about the Royal Charter issue, it's not an easy thing to come by. Today you hear about chartered accountants, chartered engineers and co. That Royal Charter is very key to anybody that wants to be there in that kingdom. So in 1920, the Royal Charter was actually obtained. And after obtaining it, it now gave them the leeway to do the right things they needed to do to put control measures in place. They had the bylaws prepared then, which we are still running and changing, modifying every day. They had the training and certification idea in the bylaw and how you have to be a member and things like that. About that time, the motto of the ICS, which is our word, our bond, came into being, because they are thinking of people who are earning this shipping business to be people who are transparent, who are honest, and who can represent the body very well. I missed something, because prior to then, prior to the registration of this body, they were sending brokers all over the world from the UK to handle the business. Now, it was in 1947 that Commonwealth countries were allowed to join the Institute of Charter Ship Brokers. The other people who are non-British subjects were not allowed until 1984, which was just yesterday. South Africa, because of their apartheid issue, were not allowed to even join until 1994. But interestingly, since they joined, they have been moving mountains in that area. They even had one of them been the chairman of the institute, controlling council for some time. So they are actually okay there now. Of all these global things, I think we have 36 branches all over the world now. It was 25 about 2 years ago when we went for the controlling council meeting. Another body from Hull joined. Hull actually had been a very busy place and very notable center for shipping, but not until recently, they never became a branch of the institute. So we have 26 branches in all. And Out of this, we have one in West Africa that we all know about, or some of us knew about. So our center is in Ghana, Accra, and we have our own chapter in Nigeria. The Ghana end, that's West African end, was actually launched in April of 2010. And Nigerian chapter, after a lot of troubles, because we tried to get a branch to Nigeria in the 1980s, which was not possible because we couldn't satisfy them. But in 2017, we were able to twist the arms of this head office, and we got our chapter launched in Nigeria. This was on the 15th of March, 2017. All right. The institute has a very, very wide international network, which is something positive for all the members. We enjoy this because membership is very large. For now, we think we have about 4,000 plus members, and it's increasing with about 10% every year. We have over 100 company members as well. It's not just human beings, but companies are members as well. And the thing is getting bigger and bigger and larger. So the ICS actually has a structure in place. It's been handled and controlled by a controlling council. We have the executive council as well, who are doing what they have supposed to do to make sure that institute is touched globally. The education and training committee and members committee are part of the structures that are put in place to get it properly organized for the institute. So we've been there for quite a while, and more people are accepted to join. The guy who is in charge of membership is not around, but education and training guy, Ayola Kukuola, will be the one, Ayola Ponle will be the one to give you the lowdown on how we handle training, how you can be a member, and what the benefits are there in for you. But honestly, this institute is the best of all institutes you can think of to be part of globally. Thank you very much. Ayola Ponle. Hello.
Hello, good morning, or no, good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ayola Ponle. I believe everybody can hear me loud and clear. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear
Hello,
you.
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, like my my chairman, currently vice chairman, has introduced the ICS. He has said enough of the historical background for the ICS. And like he said, I am in charge of, I'm the coordinator for education and training for the West Africa branch, which, like my chairman said, is in Accra with our chapter here in Nigeria. And we are, I will speak for myself. I know most of the members also have that belief behind their mind. We want to really work towards having our branch, a Nigeria branch. We are more than big enough for that. So that is why when this opportunity came, I was told about it. I felt it was a very good forum. As somebody, myself, who is supposed to also be an alumnus or alumni, whichever one of man or on. So I am going to make a presentation. I'm going to share my screen using that to do the presentation, and from there you will get enough light and enough information about what the institute is all about. What are the things my chairman was talking about, or my vice chairman was talking about earlier. So I would take that initiative now and share my screen too, so that I can do that presentation. Is everybody seeing my screen, please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers is the premier when it comes to shipping. My past chairman has said it all. You know, we are the premier institution for shipping professionals worldwide, and the membership keeps growing. And we are out today to talk to you, present this opportunity for those of us participating in this forum to come on board and join the Institute. You know, the more we have, the better we are exposed to more knowledge and more members in Nigeria. And Nigeria can use this platform as one of the opportunities to establish our, use this opportunity to establish our stead as a major shipping port, hub in Africa. We can do, even in the world, if we are fully exploiting our potential. So I will just start from that. This is the first page. Now, my past chairman has given a very good historical background. How we received the Royal Charter and what have you. So I don't want to say much about that. It's all the same, and the Institute has come a very long way indeed. He has also talked about the number of branches we have worldwide, 26 branches. And every year, this is also very key, in over 110 centers all around the world, you have about 5,000 candidates sit for the exams. And what I've noticed is that we have it on an incremental basis every year. If it was 5,000 last year, although Corona affected a bit, this year we might end up to be 5,500 or more. So around 5,000 candidates sit for the ICS exams every year. So now the question will come up, what are the subjects and what is the syllabus like? So I will just quickly introduce us. We have more detailed information on the ICS website, Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers website, but I'll try and give a brief overview of what the subject and the syllabus is all about. Now, we have compulsory subjects. Anybody wants to be fully qualified as a chartered shipbroker from any part of the world, you must sit for these 4 subjects. And if you see them, you will know why they are very important, that you are well grounded in this subject. First is the introduction to shipping. Especially for those who may be coming from who are who don't have background in the shipping industry or whatsoever. So they need to be fully and well introduced into what shipping is all about. Then you have the legal principles in shipping business. We all know why that one is also important. You need to know what the legalities are, what regulations are, what are conventions, how those things come about. What are the principles behind those laws? Then you have the economics of sea transport and international trade. Yes, we need to, I think the last speaker was there, was reeling out a lot of facts and figures, economic figures and rankings and ratings. All these are a part of economics. You need to use to measure even your company or the country. I was impressed with a lot of facts that were reeled out by the last speaker, who did that presentation. Then one of the key subjects in this group is the shipping business. It encompasses a lot, about, it gives you an overview of how business is done in shipping. So these 4 key subjects form the group 1. They are the compulsory subjects. Anybody who wants to qualify in the ICS, the ICS qualification, you must do these 4 subjects. Then there are this group 2, we call the specialist subjects. They cover because you have options of where you want to specialize, where you want to, maybe your areas of core competence, or maybe that's your where you work, that's your discipline and what have you, so you think you want to go into that, you want to go into the business of tanker chartering, for example. It's one of the specialist optional subjects. We have ship operations and management. If you are into managing a company or as a ship manager for clients, you need to know some other more details about ship operations and management. We're talking also about sale and purchase. You know, how to buy ships and sell ships. You want to specialize in that. You know, it covers a lot, even ship breaking and what have you, that covers a lot. And different, and port agency also, you want to be a port agency person, or port and terminal management, offshore support industry. If you're a lawyer and you want to deepen your knowledge in shipping law is there for you. If you're into insurance, the man that works in the insurance company and he knows that vessel, you know, they pay a lot of premium when it comes to insuring a vessel, whether it's H&M or T&I, any of these insurance instruments. They are not cheap. So maybe you need to deepen your knowledge about that. And if you are maybe a banker or somebody working in the finance industry and you want to know more about shipping finance, these subjects are there. So these are the group 2 subjects. So we'll come to how you get your qualification, how you can mix with these 4 compulsory subjects and how many you need from group 2 to be fully qualified. So I'll go to the next slide. Now, the academic year of the ICS starts from June of every year. That's when the window of the academic year opens, and it ends of May the following year. We will soon be through with that of the 2020-21. Then we will start with 2021-2022 by June. And to sit, if you use this academic year calendar, you will need to register as a student if you want to sit for any of the exams. And now these exams are conducted in November and April or May. You know, since the academic year starts in June, so the first exam is in November, and the second exam is in either April, sometimes maybe late April, or it will from April to go into June, and to go into May. Sorry. So that's how the exams are conducted twice in a year. And we all know, you know, you join the institute, you know, you are joining the an institute with the hallmark of professionalism as far as shipping business is concerned around the world. Then now we come to the qualifications. What are the options there? First of all, we have the professional qualifying exam. This is the pinnacle. This is where once you qualify, you get your PQE. You need to pass 7 subjects. You know, you do 7 exams over a period of up to, you have a window of 5 years to conclude or pass fully those 7 subjects. That's inclusive of the 4 compulsory, which is not negotiable, and 3 other specialist subjects, depending on your areas of core competence or your areas of interest. You know, so in 5 years you can finish, if you are so good in your in this subject, you can finish it in less than half of that 5 years, in 2 years or 1.5 years. It depends entirely on you. You know, but people take it maybe 1 subject at a time or 2 subjects at a time, because there is no need rushing it. You don't think, oh, it's simple, I've been in the profession for so long. No, it does not go easily like that. You need some good measure of preparation for you to be able to sit for the exams and pass. It takes a while. You know, I've had people who think, oh, I want to do 3, 4 subjects at a time, and you know, it wasn't a good outcome. So that is why you have this 5-year period for you to complete it. So it's something you can take at your time. We will come to whether exemptions are allowed. I will soon come to that. But you have 5 years, you know, to finish your exams. We have a different type of qualifications. So I'll continue with that. We have also, for those who you don't want to go for the PQA direct from ICS, we have the option of a foundation diploma, especially for those who don't have much experience in the industry, and you want to take it gradually, because it also counts towards your PQE. Your final qualification as a chartered shipbroker. You know, so with this foundation diploma, you take the introduction to shipping. As if you can remember, it is part of the group 1 subjects, the compulsory subject. You take the introduction to shipping and 1 off the other from the other group 2. You know, you can take introduction to shipping and any other compulsory subject except shipping business. You know, so you can take introduction to shipping with economics or with legal principles, and you get your foundation diploma. But you cannot take introduction to shipping and shipping business together. No, that's not what the institute wants, because the shipping business is more elaborate. You know, so you can take the introduction to shipping and any other of the subjects listed in group 2, maybe tanker chartering, maybe shipping finance, maybe ship sale and purchase, any other one where you feel you have your core competence or your interest. So it's a standalone qualification on its own, you know, and like I said earlier, it also counts towards your membership. If you do the introduction to shipping and maybe port agency, for example, 2 qualifications are out. So towards your final qualification as a fully certified professional of the institute, you have 5 subjects left. But you also get your diploma, you know, to show that you have done a certification that was awarded in a globally recognized institute. So these are, like I said, these are the foundation diplomas available in all, you know, the group 2 subjects and introduction to shipping. So I'm from this current year that we are, this current academic year, they also included foundation diploma for economics of sea transport and international trade, and legal principles in shipping business. You know, so that's your introduction to shipping with any of these subjects that are listed. So you can start with that. That's the general idea. So that will make it as easy as possible and give competence to people who want to take their time towards full-scale membership of the institute. Now, the next one we have is the advanced diploma. You know, it's like, you are a full professional and you understand this thing, you want to get more industry knowledge, or you are a trained mariner, you have been working in the port, so you wherever, you know, as far as it's related to shipping or at the maritime industry, then you can come for the advanced diploma. You know, like I said, the benchmark paper of the institute, the shipping business is one of the subjects, the compulsory subject you will take, you know, and except the introduction to shipping, you don't combine the 2. That introduction to shipping is reserved for the foundation diploma. Now you take the shipping business and any of the other group 2 subjects, you know. So, and one key thing is that in this, whether you want to do the foundation diploma or the advanced diploma, you need to pass both subjects at the same time, you know, so that you want to be sure that you don't want to use the opportunity to spread it and you know, want you to pass it at the same time. So it's the same thing. It's about the same thing with the foundation diploma, the same subject. And the economics of sea transport and legal principles were also introduced this academic year. So you take the shipping business if you want our advanced diploma with any of these listed subjects. It's the same number of subjects with that of the foundation diploma. So now, exemptions. Like I mentioned earlier, exemptions are given. I'm sure most of us in this forum are, you know, as ex-students or alumni of Maritime Academy, you are surely in line to get exemption for some subjects. But there are criteria, there are requirements, there are things that you need to meet, you know, for you to get those exemptions. And one of the key criteria that they used to give you exemption is that if you have a professional educational qualification, it should not be older than 7 years. I think most of those in this forum have qualifications that are older than 7 years. You know, as far as maybe marine is concerned, maybe if you have some other recent qualification, I'm sure it will all count, because sometimes You don't just discountenance it because you feel, okay, I got my finished from around 5, 10, 20, 30 years ago. You know, it still will be assessed. So these are the following subjects that can be exempted: introduction to shipping, economics of sea transport, marine insurance, shipping law, finance, port and terminal management, operations and ship operations and management, and even logistics. So if you have qualifications, recent qualifications in this, you know, you can be exempted in some of these subjects. It's still subject to some certain criteria also. You know, this exemption is, you know, the Education and Training Committee oversees registered as a student. You know, you have to apply, and the ETC would assess those qualifications, and they will give you their decision. You know, so if you apply, I think you know, if you apply for maybe 2, for example, they will assess your qualifications criteria that are listed here and have some kind of equivalency to the PQE, you know, of the institute. It has a minimum standard of you know, but it has to have some measure of equivalency. They have a way they used to measure that. And like I said earlier, the qualification can be no older than 7 years. You know, they want to be sure that you are up to date. We all know that a lot of things happen in the industry on a regular basis. That is why we have amendments, you have protocols, you have all these things to regulations, to convention, whether it is STCW, whether it is SOLAS or whatever. There are so many other conventions, you know, that get updated or get amended or reviewed, or protocols are adopted because of recent happenings or recent issues in the industry in that particular aspect. So you must be able to provide an official course certificate. Yeah, of course, you must. If you say you have that competence, you must show the certificate. And the transcript must be in English. You know, it must be examined in English. You know, so that there will not be any issues of translation or being lost in trying to do that. But it must be done in English. It must be either properly translated or what have you. But the ETC, Education and Training Committee, will assess and make a decision based on what they receive. You know, and like I said, exemptions, there's a very key note here. Exemptions are only granted towards the PQE. If you want to do a foundation diploma or advanced diploma, as I earlier explained, you cannot say, okay, I want exemption for introduction to shipping so that I can do only one subject. No, you're not going to be granted that. You know, so you need, you know, if you want to go towards the PQA, that's when you should be thinking of exemption. That means you want to do the 7 subjects, the 4 compulsory and the electives and the optional subjects. You know, if you get that means you do only 5. You know, so that's the key note there that one has to be aware of when it comes to applying for exemptions. Then membership. You know, it's not just you see my name or Captain Olariwaju's name or any other of our members using MICS or FICS. You know, we all know what membership of any institute whatsoever means, or fellowship of any institute whatsoever. So the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers is not an exception in that regard. You know, those are the 2 main categories. Once you are qualified, you know, you are assessed to be fit and proper person, you know, to be accepted as a member of the institute. You start with the MICS. That's member Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers, which you can use at the end of your name. And as you grow in the profession, you look at your participation as far as your branch is concerned, you know, your continuous professional development, and a number of factors are also assessed. Your contribution towards the institute at your branch level or chapter level, like in Nigeria. And maybe you've been an MICS for about 5 years or so, you know, and you hold a very senior position in the industry, then you can put in your application, you know, to the controlling council, who will consider. You just send it to the ICS, and they will consider your application. They will present it to the controlling council. They have a number of times they meet in a year. So you wait. If they are not meeting in March, for example, they might be meeting in May or June. So you wait until the controlling council meets, and they will consider you to be a fit and proper person to be welcome on board as a fellow. Because we all know it means a lot to be a fellow of any institute for that matter. You know, so serious institute like this that are globally recognized, you know, would not rest on the laurels and just adopt or bring in anybody if they have issues with your conduct or some other issues they will need to highlight. So that's what that's what the those are the two main membership categories. We have other categories. You know, when you come in, you have to register as a student. You'll be given a number. That number is what you maintain throughout, even up to when you become a fellow. You know, you have to pay. Then there are some other fees, you know, that are attached to that. You know, registration and what have you. So when you now pay for the subjects you want to register for, you know, all that. You know, from there you'll be given a number. And like Captain Laurie, what you said, we have company membership too. A company can be a member. There are benefits attached to that. There are those who can be honorary fellows. You know, they might not necessarily have met the academic criteria of the ICS. Maybe they've contributed so much, like they give people honorary degrees. You know, and what have you. So the council can decide to adopt a person and give you honorary fellowship. You know. The same thing with life members and retired members. These are mostly people who are not as active as they used to be, maybe as a result of old age. So they are given certain privileges as a life member or retired member. So they don't get as much, they don't get to meet as much requirements as those who are still very active. You know, but you know, their pedigree is not thrown to the dogs. People recognize their pedigree and they respect them and still want to make them a part of the body in any capacity whatsoever as the institute is concerned. So now we talk about benefits. Yes, I know the question might be coming up. What do I stand to benefit if I join the institute? Of course, first of all, you are getting a well-respected and you know, recognized qualifications as far as the world, just beyond Nigeria. You know, it's all over the world, from America to Asia to Middle East to Africa. You know, Captain Lariwaji has told us how even when South Africa came in a bit late, how they've gone so far. You know, we can also do this. So it's very, very important. You are increasing your horizon, you are increasing your spectrum, of your networking. It's very, very key. You are getting a diploma, a foundation or an advanced diploma that you can present to your employer. That can give you, you know, to tell they approach to an employer and they ask, does anybody has a qualification from the ICS? And those that say yes, or the only person that says yes is interviewed. Those that say yes are interviewed and the rest are let go. So you have a qualification that makes that statement for you in that particular field, as far as the shipping industry globally is concerned. You know, like I said, you know, our members are internationally recognized network of shipping professionals who have proven knowledge, competence, and understanding. You know, they have decided to continuously work to improve professionalism. You know, and ethics is also very important. Captain Laura already mentioned that our word, our bond. You know, that's a very important thing we always follow. So that's about ethics. Ethics is also very, very, very key when you have such kind of motto. You know, so when you belong to ICS, you have this competitive advantage because the dynamic is a dynamic institute in a dynamic industry. as far as commercial shipping is concerned. You become competitive. You know what it means, and you are sure that you are getting an up-to-date knowledge. You know, that cannot be overemphasized. You know, as year goes in, the syllabus is reviewed, textbooks or material resources are reviewed. We have access to those. Shipping Network is a magazine, and you see a lot of articles and write-ups and developments, you know, posted in that Shipping Network. So that's another benefit. You know, if you join this, of course, you know, you have like-minded people, like everybody in Amano, for example, like-minded. You might have done navigation, engineering, transport, you name it. They're still like-minded because you are more or less still in the same profession. So those are people, first of all, you know their pedigree. I have mates who if they call me today, they know my pedigree. I call them today, I know their pedigree. So you have that spectrum, that basket of people, that collection. Then another benefit is that training courses, you know, you need in your network used to build more bridges. You know, you build as many bridges as possible. You know, so we also have such benefits available to members. Captain Alarewaju has been in it for a long time than most of us, if not even all of us. So he can even elaborate more if you want about benefits. Even my chairman, Mr. Sami Adu, has also been in it for a long while too. So he can tell you about some of the benefits if you want. So there are so many range of benefits available as far as the ICS Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers are concerned. So thank you, gentlemen. That's the presentation I'm making for now. I hope I've been able to throw more light as far as the institute is concerned. So for now, if there are any questions to the slides I have presented and all the points I've made, or any other thing I did not cover that you want maybe some kind of explanation, I'm here to answer, or any of our members who are also in the forum will also throw more light for the questions that may be asked. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ayola. I think for our participants, you can drop the questions in the comment box, or I will be available after now. If you need any clarifications, I can always reach out to the ICS executives for answers. I think in the interest of time, we've really run out of our time, and we thank you for your patience for still being here. So maybe we'll just take the closing from the ICS presentation from Tammy. Tammy, over to you. Thank you. Okay, I think we can just proceed so that we don't eat into our times further. The president of Amano sends his apologies. He had to drop for another urgent meeting where we were a bit over our time. But I want to use this opportunity on behalf of the Amano executives to say a big thank you to Danladi and a big thank you to the executives of the ICS chapter in Nigeria. We thank you for honoring our invitations. We thank you for your presentations. I'm sure a lot of us are well enlightened about your activities, and we'll continue to spread the message amongst our members. Indeed, the benefits of ICS are overwhelming, and in the strive to grow our industry in Nigeria, membership would definitely help us well. So thank you very much, Captain Larry and the team. And on this note, I'll call on Victor, Adeleke Nathaniel to give us a closing remark for today's activity. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. Special appreciation to Captain Danladi for your time today. Truly appreciate your time and your efforts, and particularly, bringing to light part of your studies that you're actually undergoing right now. We truly appreciate that. I also like to appreciate the Institute of Chartered Shipping Brokers. I particularly know the head of the education and training, your Lakonle. We're actually of the same batch in the academy, batch 13. So I'm really glad that he has progressed very well in the path that he took. Congratulations, sir. To everyone, who would actually found time, to attend today's meeting. Thank you so very much, for your time to be part of this learning session. We do hope in the next 2 weeks, everyone and more people will join us. But before we go, I would like to, remind us that we still have about 3 positions for us to fill in the global national executives. Please, take time to check the platform, pick up the form before the time runs out, and be part of decision making for the Amano. So once again, for everyone, who had worked in behind the scene, to make today's event a success, I want to, on behalf of Amano, thank each and every one of you, for this, and do enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye, and God bless.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and have a beautiful weekend.